Okay, hello again and welcome back. I'm pleased today to have with me Michele Charles Gustafson, who is an award-winning certified image consultant and life coach, a personal branding expert, and a best-selling author of Show Up Confident. I've got my Kindle edition.
And I've got my paperback edition.
And she is also one of my mentors. So I'm very pleased to have her with me today to talk about a confidence journey in the context of separation and divorce. So welcome, Michele. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Stephanie, for having me. Always ready to be here for you. This is a great topic.
Yeah, for sure. So the first question, just to launch in, is, when people are going through separation and divorce, many people end up on this journey of trying to, we'll call it find themselves. In your book, you talk about the term confidence compass. So I'd like to really have you unpack a little bit about what people would be looking for when they embark on this so-called finding themselves and how the confidence compass might help them.
Yeah, it's a big concept. And what I first want people to know is that any change in your life is a pivot point for you and your confidence. And separation and divorce is no different. That change, that thing that happens is the event. And then the transition in behind it is the thing that really causes someone to want to find themselves. And it's that period after of where the resiliency is actually built. And so, as I talk about in the book, the confidence compass is really my framework of having you understand what it takes to see yourself in a different way, to develop your sense of personal awareness that is actually the seed for resilience. So the confidence compass has 4 points. It is your idea of your gifts, the things that you're born with that give you your unique spark, your talents, the things that you've developed over your lifetime through your experiences, your virtues, how you're running your life, and your values, the things that are most important for you to express throughout your life. And when you can get those crystallized in that finding yourself journey, that is where you are able to bounce back. And even all of the feelings that you are going to feel through separation and divorce, things like grief, letting go, sadness, all of those get put into perspective when you see yourself through that compass. So for me, it is the very first place you start when you have found yourself after a huge change and after a transition. Start getting that right.
Yeah, and in your book, you go into the, sort of each of those points on the compass and, helping people to really discover what each of those points mean for each of them. And so that's really wonderful. I want to actually touch a little bit more on the idea of the difference between what you describe as the change versus the transition. So the change being the actual particular event, and typically in separation and divorce, it will be the decision to separate, or the either, sort of the moving out of the home, or the actual conversation that was, we are separating, or we will be separating at some point, in the future, versus the transition, which, as you describe, is the response to the event. So that can be the catalyst for building resilience and building yourself up. And so can we just talk a little bit about resilience in the context of separation and divorce?
Yeah, I mean, resilience, just think of it this way. Resilience is your ability to bounce back, right? So when you're going through a separation or divorce, or any major change, think of that event of the change as it is just the point in time, that conversation that you had. But what happens in that point is that all of your priorities of your life get tossed up into the air and they all fall down on the table like puzzle pieces. And all of those pieces of your life, think about them: your health, your career, your finances, your home environment, your creativity, your ability to create joy for yourself, all these areas, and I talk about them all in the book, but they all get tossed up, thrown onto the table, and they're all disjointed, okay? Resilience is the ability to take each puzzle piece and put them back together. That has to come once you have perspective of the table of the puzzle pieces, and that table is you. It's you, it's your values, it's understanding what you want to create next. It's understanding why you decided to separate and to proceed with divorce. What were the reasons for you? What was the meaning for you? Because looking at all of those puzzle pieces on the table, the only way they get put back together is if you put back what values you want to now express in your life. The reason there was a breakdown in that relationship is because somehow, some way, the values were not aligned. So what values are you now going to live by, and how can you use that to put those puzzle pieces back together? That's real resilience, and it affects every part of your life. So I always say to people, don't be afraid of the change. Okay, so the change happens, and usually we get all that grief wrapped up in it, the sadness, the anger, the fear of what's next. If you can reframe that and say, okay, I can see the change staring at me in the face. What am I supposed to know from it? And where do I want to align my values? That's where the resilience is built. And in doing that, you have a whole new sense of power.
Yeah, and what I really hear you talking about is, the word that you use that's the theme of your book is confidence, and it's personal confidence. And I really like your definition in the book of confidence is having the sureness of self that you have what it takes to thrive. And, I've always believed that the ability to thrive is within every person that is going through separation and divorce. So how do you get that confidence? How do people start believing that they can thrive, right? You're going through all this grief, and you've got all these negative thoughts going on, and they're going through this transition that's been because of the change. And, where do they start building that confidence, or how do they get started?
You know what? Confidence is a sureness of self. I talk about that. But just before that, the foundation is confidence is self-love in action. And I say that all the time. It is self-love in action. So really it comes down to what do I need to feel self-love for myself after this new thing? What is it? And a lot of that comes down to your beliefs about yourself and about your life. And I talk about it in the book, but beliefs are like goggles. So beliefs are the goggles that you put in, and you see your entire life through them. And at any change in transition, it's causing you to take off one set of goggles and put on another, or a lot of times, if you're not aware, you actually put on the old set of goggles and you look through the same thing. So building new confidence is first an awareness of taking off the old goggles and seeing your life from a different perspective. That starts with a self-discovery process, and that's where new confidence is built. Self-discovery and finding new meaning in the change and transition. I know that when a relationship breaks down, it's difficult because you are looking at yourself and going, look, and I couldn't keep it together. What was wrong with me? What was wrong with them in the context of me? There's a lot of self-blame, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of aimlessness. And those are the things that are the villain of confidence. Okay. They will keep you from moving towards confidence. They need to be replaced by self-belief, self-awareness, self-love, and understanding that you made that decision to end a relationship based on what you think is coming next for you. Right?
Or the decision was made for you.
Or the decision was made for you. And then understanding, because that decision was made for me, what is going to come next for me, right? And so it's all about reframing that idea and finding new meaning in that reframing. When you find meaning, you're able to be more resilient. What does this mean for me? What am I learning here? Who am I becoming because of it? And that's how you actually get away from the villains of the blame of self and the negative tapes, because you're looking forward, right? You're looking forward.
Yeah, I want to quote a passage I had written. Written down. I'd really taken this out of the book, and I'll only do it once in this interview. But I think it was really important. It really stood out for me. In Show Up Confident, Michele, you write, beliefs work for you as long as they are healthy and aligned with helping you grow as a person, improving how you think and feel about your importance, how you value yourself and your positive contribution to others. Beliefs can also hold you back. So that's where you're talking about the negative beliefs. Mm-hmm. You might feel like you're stuck or like you're not moving ahead as fast as you want. It's not always about the skills that you don't own. It's a mindset block. When this feeling stuck happens, it's an opportunity to look at where the foundation of beliefs need to evolve.
Yes. Yes. You know what? Beliefs are things that have happened to us over time. And, I was talking to a client and I was saying, we can honor the beliefs that we've had in the past. Mm-hmm. What you believe has to do with where you've come from. And what you believe about life, what you believe about who you should be, who you need to be, has come because it has protected you from whatever you've gone through. It's helped you get through it up till now. And those beliefs that have served you to get you through to now, that have made you resilient, that got you through to the spot, they need to be honored. But at the same time, they can be crippling if they're not aligned for where you want to go. Mm-hmm. And being self-aware and taking the time to go, what is it that I believe up till now? Is it going to serve me moving forward? Mm-hmm. That's important work. And that's, I always say, it's work, it's self-work, but valuable. It doesn't have to hurt to do that work, but needs to happen to move forward.
But the interesting thing about that is that in doing that self-analysis, it could actually very well be that there are certain beliefs that you do need to hold on to and that are actually working for you. And then there are some that you may need to let go and replace with other beliefs. And so yes. I find that interesting because it's not just, everything from the past is bad and let's move forward with as a completely new person. It's there might be some things that are really worth holding on to, but it's with that self-analysis that you can actually consciously make that choice. Yes. Instead of just sort of going on in life and not really being 100% sure if your mindset is if your particular mindset is what you actually need to move that forward.
Yes. And as I do with clients, and you know this very well, Stephanie, is that it's all about the reframe. So whatever you have as a belief that you're telling yourself, that you're running your life by, every single one of them can be reframed. They can be flipped on its head to be something that serves you. And that is a skill. That is a skill. If you don't own a skill, guys, like skills are things that you learn and then hone. And confidence is a skill. And if you don't own the processes to flip that, to see your beliefs in a way, to be self-aware, then part of the work becomes getting the skill. And what happens is, if you can own how to flip a belief on its head in minutes, you keep yourself moving forward because you go, well, I don't actually believe that, because if I flip it this way, this is actually what I see for myself. That keeps you moving forward. And the beginning of that starts with being self-aware in your own body, in your own life, in your own thought process, in how you speak to yourself, in how you see yourself through the mirror. It's all self-awareness. And then really having a very intimate relationship with yourself. And those are the things that allow you to find relationships that then serve you even after separation and divorce. And no matter what, you can find relationships that become aligned with that relationship you have with yourself. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of resilience and that adventure, even after something that feels very painful or can have grief around it.
And it's interesting because one of the tips that I talk about in the courses that I offer is talking about my tip number 10 in the one particular course is stay single. And part of that has to do, and people say, what do you mean stay single? You don't want me to be happy. You don't want me to have relationships. It's not that. It goes on in that, I go on in that module to talk about the importance of having, finding yourself and having that relationship with yourself first, because then you can at least analyze, what was good about my previous relationship and what was toxic, and what do I want, then what do I want for myself and what do I want, for my future. And then you go out and you actually attract that.
100%, 100%. And I will say, as a confidence coach of 25 years almost, 100% I agree. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter if you've had a long relationship and it's broken down, or a short relationship that's broken down. The breakdown is the change. The transition is what happens after. You need to take time to take the puzzle pieces that are on this table, okay, and surround yourself with yourself to put those puzzle pieces back. And when I talk about the 11 priorities that get shaken up after a change in transition, none of them have to do with other people. Okay, maybe one has to do with other people. They all have to do with you. Okay, how you want to have your environment, how you experience joy. What is your creativity? What is my relationship with my finances? What is my relationship with my meaningful work that I do? It all has to do with you. And what you will be aware of is that once you take those puzzle pieces that have to do with you and you place them back together on the table to get this picture of you, you won't have to work to find people who align with it.
And and I want to also focus on one more piece that you were saying earlier, is talking about the importance of I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
What was I going to say?
Okay, it'll come back.
The importance of
okay, don't force it, Stephanie. It'll come back when it comes back. And if it doesn't come back, they weren't meant to hear it, so it's all good.
Oh, okay.
There.
So another thing that you were focusing on earlier was the idea of coming up with those beliefs and sort of aligning yourself with your beliefs, and that will help you with your, building your confidence. But what I find is, and what I find is really interesting is I've gone through this journey with Michele. She's been my mentor with respect to this confidence building experience. And, Michele describes in all of her work that she works with her clients as permanent change. And one of the things I really notice as I go through this myself is there's an initial stage of building that confidence, and it is work. It is 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it is, of worth of really intense work, and you're really trying to discover yourself and understand, what beliefs make up you and how you can get to that next journey. But what I find is interesting is that I take those teachings and it can be applied to any particular situation, because there are times as the months and years go on that all of a sudden you have some kind of a destructive thought, or you sort of retract in some particular way. And what I find is really important is always sort of going back to those basics when those things happen, and being able to deconstruct that and to say, okay, this is destructive, and being able to be conscious about identifying that. And so that's what leads to the permanent change. And we talk about the thriving. We want you to thrive on a permanent basis when you go through separation and divorce.
You're absolutely right. I never believe in a temporary solution. You know this. Permanent change is all I'm interested in. And how you get that is by having frameworks and skills and practice. And whenever I'm working with clients or moving them forward, those are the only things I'm interested in. Is, do you have the framework? Can you have the skills? And do you practice them? And by doing that, you are building a repertoire of resiliency. So if you think of like, okay, I'm this is a side story, folks. I'm a little obsessed over Mount Everest shows, okay, mountain stories and climbing the highest mountain, all that. And if you think about Everest, when you think about the skills you need to climb that mountain, There are skills you need at the lower levels. There are things you need to learn how to do practically. And then there's mindset that takes you up the mountain. And obviously there's going to be those days where you didn't reach camp 1, but you had to come back down for acclimation. This is the exact same thing that happens in confidence building. You walk up a piece of the mountain, you hit a camp, this looks good, you come back down for acclimation. You go back up to the next camp, you get stuck and your mindset goes wonky, but you have skills that have gotten you there, right? So you're able to go, okay, what can I know right now that will take me to the next camp? That is the epitome of confidence building skills and process and practice. And people think that when you are talking about confidence, it's like, well, I'm confident. I just have it. No, you have it for this moment.
You got to keep working on it, but stay conscious about it.
Conscious about it. And all you're doing really is you are extending the period of moments you have confidence. Because people are like, oh, Michelle, you're so confident. How do you do that? How do you maintain it? It's like, you don't think there aren't times where I have a slip? Except
never.
Except I've reached Mount Everest so many times, the summit, that it doesn't take long for me to impact my skills, get the process going, and be bounced right back up, and I'm back up there. Okay? Minutes sometimes. Okay? Not months, not years, minutes. And that's the beauty of having skills and a process and a framework that you always work. And for any of you who are watching this and you're going through a process or a change and transition where separation and divorce it feels like it's stolen a part of you. You feel like you forgot yourself. You're aimless and wandering around, or you're feeling a self-doubt about any area of your life. That is a signal to you to go find process, skills, and to practice at your confidence. And you can do that in a number of different ways. I mean, some people decide to learn how to climb Mount Everest. That's cool. Some of them choose, like Stephanie, to learn how to put their personal brand in there and their visual style out there and do a process like I use it with Hue and Style. Some people decide to go on a exercise routine and join bodybuilding competitions.
Or go on a retreat.
These are all different ways to do the same thing. But what I want you to hear me say is that whatever you choose, to be conscious of what is actually happening. You are developing skills, process, awareness, and practice to see yourself in new confidence. I happen to like to teach people to get dressed and look, dress in the best style of their life. I love doing that, but there's a million other ways to do it. And so, but I want you to be aware that that's what's happening when you're choosing it, especially at a time of transition and change. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, Michelle, let's wrap it up with your top 3 tips. This is the favorite part of every one of my interviews. I ask all of my interviewees to give me their top 3 tips on this confidence journey and the change that people are going on and help them to thrive.
Okay, number 1, 100% start a conversation with yourself. How you do that? Get yourself a piece of paper. Get yourself a pen and start a journaling practice. Now, I know you're just rolling your eye right now. I know you all are.
I did.
I know you did. I know.
But
and
I do it.
The ones who roll their eyes the hardest are the highest achievers. I know, because the high achievers are like, please, I do not need to do that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because what's going on when you start a journal practice is that you are opening a conversation with yourself. And remember when I talked about your confidence compass? You can't find the 4 points of your confidence compass without talking to yourself about what those are. So if you're like, I don't know how to start one, Michelle, great. Grab Show Up Confident. I have prompts for you to start with, and it will start to open the conversation with yourself. Unpack feelings, unpack beliefs, unpack values. What you do with it after that is a whole different story, but at least you've started the conversation. Secondly,
number 2.
I was going to say it. What's that?
Number 2,
get up and dressed. Now, you're just saying to yourself right now, you're just saying that because you're an image consultant and you teach people how to dress. Yes, But at the same time, I also am an expert in the psychology of getting dressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell you that when you see yourself as someone who is not in grief, sadness, and aimlessness, and you see yourself with purpose and meaning each of your days, you improve motivation. You improve the idea that what you're here to do is important. You improve your mood, and that is the thing that moves you through transition. And I know that even though you don't know all the things and all the expert things that what you can do, literally get up and dressed.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, by doing that basic thing, you're on the track to the next step. Mm-hmm. Number 3, seek the uncomfortable and inconvenient growth. Now, I say this to every single one of my new clients, every single one. If you want to grow, if you want to see this stage of your life, even if it feels painful right now, as a jumping off point, you have to look for ways to embrace what feels uncomfortable and inconvenient right now and see it as an opportunity. Find a coach, find a mentor, find a counselor, find the people who will help you understand that uncomfortable and inconvenient is actually a gift. Mm-hmm. Because it's where you learn about yourself. It's where resiliency is built, and it's where your confidence compass lies and your purpose next lives.
Well, I'm just going to share with everyone on my lock screen of my phone, I've got Michelle's, where is it here? Well, I can't see it anymore. Anyways, it's Michelle's, one of her Instagram posts, and it talks about comfort zone, fear zone, learning zone, growth zone. And I've had that on my lock screen for the past, 8 or 9 months or something, because every once in a while I look at it and I go, I can't do this. And then I look, okay, I'm in the fear zone. Okay, relax. Yeah. You get through this. You got to get through all these stages before you get into the growth zone.
Yes, and most people
don't get to skip zones.
No, you don't. And most people, I'll tell you, will check out when it's uncomfortable. Like they didn't even get to inconvenient. They're like, I don't like the way that feels. I'm out. Right?
Yep.
If you can get okay with uncomfortable, like, it feels, then what's going to happen is that you're going to get to inconvenient, because inconvenient is like, I'm not sure I can do this right now. I'm not sure. How am I going to be, we always talk about resourceful and resilient, right? How am I going to do that right now? Those two things must exist before you make a marked change. So if you're in the moment and you go, this is inconvenient and uncomfortable, perfect. You're ready.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Recognize it. Ding, ding, ding. This is it. This is the place for me to change. I get to be better after this. And that's what I wish for everybody after any kind of transition, whether it's separation, divorce, or anything else, to be better.
Yeah. And it takes, from what you're telling us, is that it takes conscious effort on a continued basis, and to always be self-aware as you, slip up every once in a while, even though you've got to this confident place and this thriving place. You've got, in order to stay there, you know that there's going to be slips, and you've got to use those skills all the time to continue on your journey.
Yeah. And when you do, like, it sounds hard, like, oh, I got to use these skills. Like, how do I do this thing? I'm telling you, there's freedom and clarity. There's freedom in the skills. And once you know them, nothing can stop you. You are unstoppable. Just pause a moment, folks. Like, I want you to mark the feeling. I want you to do this. I want you to mark the feeling. You're having a feeling right now, whether it's separation, divorce has happened to you, and you feel a lot of feelings around that. You feel sad, in grief, angry, fearful of the future, not sure where to go, in chaos, anxiety, all these feelings. And you know what that feels like in your body. Now I want you to think about what it feels to be unstoppable. Think about a time in your life where you felt unstoppable. Top of the mountain, Everest summit. We've all had it. It doesn't matter if it was when I was 15, 25, 45. You've had a moment. Get into that feeling. That's the feeling of being unstoppable. And that is what real, authentic, lasting, permanent confidence feels like when you activate it to do your life.
You know, I'm even thinking about a tangible example is, you know, I've been on a real workout string as of late, and, you know, thinking about, you know, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do this, and then you without thinking about it too much, you say, nope, I got to get up, I got to do this, and then at the end of that workout, you feel amazing, you feel unstoppable, on top of the world. I can't believe how my day would have happened, or would have gone had I not done this, and you just feel that. You know, so to me, that's a tangible example of feeling unstoppable that many people might be able to relate to. A really good workout.
Yeah. And know that that feeling is sustainable, right? What if you ran your life by that feeling? Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's hope. There's hope in,
There's always,
you know,
hope.
after separation and divorce, however you as our viewer is feeling right now, Michele has given us some great tips and tools on how to get past them, and how to increase your confidence, and to be able to maintain that increase of confidence. So I'll give another shameless plug for Michele, Show Up Confident. Please go and have a look at it. I've got my Kindle edition.
Yes,
which
it's
is
available on Amazon. You
yep.
can showupconfident.com will take you there.
Yep. Yeah. So thank you so much, Michele, for joining us today. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Sounds great. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.